Hello. Today I'm talking to Tim Hodgson about life. So Tim, what's the biggest challenge facing people today?
And somehow it's not what you think it is. I think that most people nowadays would say that the big challenges facing themselves are the economy or finance or getting a job, keeping a job.
Mhm.
And I think that the really big one for people nowadays is believing themselves. If they can believe in who they are and actually reconnect to the truth of who they are, then I think things change. Imagine, or think about it.
Mhm.
When you were younger, you had absolute and complete faith in what you could do, didn't you?
Yeah.
So you knew whatever you did, you'd set off, you'd start and learn to walk, you'd pick yourself up, you'd start again. And somehow, over those last few years, that all gets knocked out of us. And we start to, through our teachers telling us what we can and can't do, through our parents telling us to avoid doing this, don't do that, watch out for this, we start to lose faith in ourselves. And so somehow we actually cease to know who we are. We get disconnected from that beautiful, glorious truth of the real person.
Okay, so what's the answer? How do we reconnect again?
Hey, well, that's exactly it. It's about reconnection. We have to find a way of putting ourselves back together with who we really are. So if I can actually start to get myself to a point where I know the truth of who I really am, and not this programming that I've taken on over 20, 30, 40 years, then I actually start to behave in a way that's consistent with who I really am. And suddenly things start to become possible. Things that I had only begun to believe could be maybe possible suddenly become very, very real. And I can suddenly step into things that, well, they became my dreams.
So you not only do this for yourself every day, but you help other people to do that as well.
Absolutely.
So how do you help them? If I were coming to you, how would you begin to help me?
It depends on who the person is that I'm working with. I work with individuals and I work with large groups as well. So it really does matter to me where they're coming from and what almost their story is. Because everybody has this kind of pre-programmed story of their life, whether they were rich, whether they were poor, what their problems are. I can't do this because I'm old, I can't do this because I'm young, I can't do this because I'm divorced. All those things become part of their story. And my job is to simply find ways of stepping outside of that story. Because once they're outside of that story, looking back in at it, then suddenly anything becomes possible.
Do people actually find it difficult to take on board or to understand that they have got stories?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And actually, when people start talking, one of the things that I will do with people is I'll listen to them.
Yeah.
And once they start telling me the same story again, now I notice it, and I can help them to see that they're simply reprogramming themselves the same story. And then I use a whole series of techniques. I'm a trained NLP trainer, I'm a hypnotherapist. I work a lot with Hawaiian Huna shamanic work as well. Various things that I've done through my life. I've been there. I've been successful, part of a major multi-billion-dollar company, and I've been on the breadline so that I've had to walk 10 miles because I can't raise the price of a bus fare. So I've been both sides of the coin, and I know what the challenges are for people. And once we've done that, I've got a whole kit bag of tools that I can use to take people and say, now this will help you step forward.
Right. And if someone has got this idea that they want to change their life, they want to move forward, they want to perhaps get a new vision for themselves, but they don't quite know how to do it, quite know what to do, what do they say? What do they say to you? How does it sort of start up? How do you move them forward?
I've got a few things that I'll usually do with somebody when they first start working with me. The first thing I tell them to do is to start noticing what they're getting right.
Right.
Because most people are busy working on what they got wrong.
Yeah.
So if we can start noticing what they're doing right, so start up an achievements diary, start noting down all the things that people say that you get right, the things that you notice in yourself that you get right. And then start associating with some great people that build you up, not the people that will tear you down. Find the people that will actually help you. And then we start reading, start bringing things into your life that will actually move you outside of that. And then maybe read some of the stuff on my website, give me a call, I'll help you through some of that stuff. We can give you some pointers. Even in a few minutes I can start to put you in the right direction of, okay, what's next for you?
Yeah.
And that becomes a really exciting part of your life.
I was going to ask you, as you were talking there, 'cause it reminded me of something from my own life,
Yeah.
but when you say be with people that sort of going to bring you on, my words, isn't there, for me, when I was there was a huge sort of scare factor. I'm going to leave people behind, or people won't like me because I'm going to change. So how do you help them get over that? How do you help them deal with those situations?
That's actually a fabulous question, because isn't that one of the biggest fears that we
Yeah,
have?
absolutely.
Is
It was mine.
suddenly the peer group that we've got, the people that we're actually friends with.
Yeah.
Imagine this, it's a bit like crossing a bridge. One of those, imagine the Indiana Jones moment when you're crossing this rickety old bridge and there's a few planks missing, and as you start to get towards the middle of it, it starts to get a little bit drafty and scary as well, starts to swing, and everybody's back at the other side saying, hey, you know, it's safer back here, it's safer back here, and we get ourselves to that middle and we start to get, it's all windy and drafty, and the safest thing to do is nip back to the safe harbour that we've got. But just that bit beyond, and remember, it's easier to go forwards than it is to go back, right? It's the safe, the other side, and suddenly we get to ourselves to this point where it's actually comfortable again, and we become comfortable in this new world. And hey, some of those people, they'll look at you and they'll say, actually, that's cool, we like what she's suddenly become, and they'll be running across that bridge after you, because they'll be looking to you for guidance. They'll be looking to you for the things that you've now got in your life, that level of confidence, that level of belief, that level of achievement, whether it's in your relationships, in your finances, any part of your life. Suddenly they'll see that in you, and they'll be after you. But someone somewhere along the line is going to have to take that step, and it could well be you.
Yeah. I want to ask you, when people crossing that bridge, they've gone past the halfway point, is it all easy after then? What happened? Was it easy for you?
Absolutely not. It's that moment halfway. It's that moment halfway when you're having to walk 10 miles. You know, it's those moments. Sometimes it's not. There are some days when it's great and it's fabulous and it's exciting, and there are some days when you think, why did I start this journey? What on earth possessed me, you know, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, to give up my job and start doing this, or whatever it is that it was for you in moving forward. But it's keeping your eyes on that something new. It's saying to yourself, I'm not who I was back then. I'm who I am now. And suddenly when you get yourself into that moment, you start to understand the truth and the beauty of who you are. That suddenly gives you the next step. Because if you remember, if those bridges, they've got a dip in the middle. Yeah. And there's always in the middle, in the movies, it's always in the middle that there's the rotten plank, and you start to fall through it. And then you've got to climb up the other side. But it is safe, and it is going to get you to the other side. It's just that moment, and as you get towards the other side, you start to realise that actually it's becoming a bit safer. It's not rocking around as much, and you start to become really comfortable. You can start to look down, and you can start to enjoy the view. And suddenly you find yourself on the other side, somewhere that you never thought you'd ever be.
I've got one final question for you. If you're going to leave people with a thought for today, a step, an idea to go forward, what would it be?
Trust yourself. Whatever you do, trust yourself. Whatever's happening, if you get an impulse to do something, go and do it. If you get an impulse to read a book, read it. If you get an impulse to call somebody, call them. Whatever it is, but start to trust yourself, because we are our own best guide. Don't look to your friends, don't look to your family, don't look to religion or to the newspapers or to the media. Look to yourself, look inside yourself. What am I right now calling myself to do? When you get that one thing, go and do it, and you'll find yourself on the way.
Tim, that's lovely. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you.